Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? I hope that everybody's enjoying their great weekend. It's been great weather and I hope that everybody's relaxing and cooling out. Um, a terrible tragedy that's happened yesterday, and you know something, it has to be talked about, and I know that a lot of people have a lot of comments and theories about what happened this weekend, and that is the movie incident that happened in Colorado. For those who don't know what happened, apparently a killer by the name of James Holmes, who I will get to him in a minute because he's kind of like an interesting dude. He went into a movie theater with a gas mask calling himself the Joker, and ironically enough, and went in to see the film The Dark Knight Rises. And basically what happened was that there was tear gas flying off, and there was gunfire killing 12 people, injuring 58, and psychologically damaging hundreds more. And when I say psychologically damaging, you know, the families and victims and especially the world have seen such an enormous tragedy. What was supposed to be, you know, the most anticipated film of this weekend to come out, which was The Dark Knight Rises, that starred Christian Bale, basically became a tragic nightmare in this multiplex. I'm gonna start off by saying this, that, you know, first of all, I want to commend the victims, and I want to first also commend first of all, my heart and condolences go out to the victims. I want to congratulate the doctors who try to save as many people as they can. I thought that they did a phenomenal job in helping people the best way they know how. I know doctors will say that we do this every day, but they did a phenomenal job. I want to congratulate the ATF and the FBI and the police for catching James, because believe me, like I said, I'm going to get to James in a minute, but, you know, for the most part, normally, I know you all see videos, and I fucking hate police, and you all know how I feel about the cops. I'm talking about the ones who abuse people's rights. But when you have police officers and FBI agents that went in there and helped people, like the way they did in this Colorado incident in Aurora, I thought that it was a phenomenal job, and they did a fantastic job in making sure that the society is safe. They made sure that the bombs were dismantled, and this whole story was really bizarre, because, you know, the stories you hear from, you know, people describing their gunshot wounds. There were people who got shot that weren't even in the same theater as James was. And this dude, James, was basically shooting at anybody and anything. You know, it was just sort of like, as an end result, he had spent like $15,000 buying, you know, ammunition, guns, and ammo, and tear gas, and a bulletproof vest, and, you know, tools that he needed to make a bomb. I mean, it just was like, he put a lot of money into this, and it's bizarre and crazy. And you know what's really bizarre about this dude is he's really intelligent. I mean, I'm not praising his intellect for what he did. It's just fascinating that here's a dude who was going to be like a scientist. He was going into bioengineering. He basically was a smart dude, and he basically went into a theater and snapped. Now, you know what's funny? A lot of people are trying to say now that, you know, as the stories come out about James, that this is another tragic incident of life imitating art. Now, why do people say that? Well, there is a particular comic book called The Dark Knight Returns. Some people believe that James basically might have copied it from that panel of the comic book, where there's a scene where there's a gunman that's in a movie theater, and he pulls a gun out and he starts shooting people in the theater. Others believe that he might have copied a scene from where the Joker has people in the TV station in a panel audience, and he's doing a TV show, and he gasses everybody and killing everyone in the theater. Now, some people also have thought that, you know, when I say some, this is what the police are theorizing, that maybe he got this from the hospital scene in The Dark Knight, where the Joker was dressed up like a nurse and basically used what, 500 pounds of ammo and gas, and basically blew up the whole entire hospital. Now, you can take any of those tragedies and say maybe that was his inspiration, but the fact of the matter is that, you know, is it unfair to judge comic books and movies that way? First of all, we don't know if James was into comic books, first of all. Maybe he got the inspiration, maybe from watching the movie, or might have read the comic. I don't know. I mean, we don't know because he's not talking to the world. As of right now, I do believe that James is probably, you know, James, you know what it is? I think James is probably sitting in a cell, just thinking to himself, you know what, my life is over. Don't be surprised if you hear that this guy is going to kill himself, because what has he got to live for? I mean, I don't know if Colorado has a death penalty, but if they do, he has nothing to live for. He'll probably kill himself within a week. But you know something? The reason why I kind of say it's unfair to judge comic books and movies is because we don't know if he was into that. And like I said, you know, it's a very bizarre coincidence. I mean, you know, I'm sure that, you know what, Batman has thousands and thousands of comic book illustrations in their stories. Maybe he saw a different comic book and got that kind of idea. Maybe he did watch The Dark Knight. But for whatever it's worth, you know, definitely The Dark Knight has put an influence in this man's head, because he did call himself the Joker. So I don't know if he's calling himself the Joker because of the comic book, or is he calling himself the Joker because of Full Metal Jacket. I mean, we could all have our own opinion and theory on it. But the fact of the matter is, regardless of what he was copying, the guy is fucked up and he's crazy. That's the thing that it seems like society doesn't want to say anymore. How come nobody wants to say that what this man did doesn't really need to have an explanation? Just the fact that he's crazy, and the fact that it's scary to know that that could have been any one of us in that movie theater. He planned this out in a methodical way. He went into a movie theater. He knew that the theater was going to be packed, so he knew to pick the first day of the movie showing, goes into the theater, and he knew exactly what he was doing. You know, he basically set this plan perfectly. But what was dumb on his part, though, was that I think this might have been another theory of life imitating art, because I think he believed that the cops were so stupid that they were going to go to his apartment, crash to the door, and he had like 15 explosions, maybe 12, give or take, and he thought that he was going to go into the apartment and blow each other up. They don't do that. I mean, James, I know you're probably sitting in jail right now thinking to yourself, you know what, my life is over. But dude, they don't do that no more. You know, cops just don't crash into the door. Cops, believe me, secure the whole entire building to make sure that if this dude was into explosions, they call the bomb squad. If this dude was into explosions, they call ATF. They call the FBI. They ain't gonna have the local cops go in there and kick the door down and say, you know what, kiss my ass. We're gonna blast this dude because he's in an apartment. No. And you know what it is? I think he set it up that way because he figured, you know what, if you're this stupid, you're gonna kick the door down, and then all of a sudden, what will happen is that all the evidence will be destroyed because the cops, you know, basically were in a rush. That's possible, you know. I mean, that's been done in movies before. I'm sure that we all seen, you know, movies where that incident happens. I can think of a movie right now, like the movie Copycat. There was a scene where the killer, Peter Foley, who was basically... Copycat was a movie that was done by Sigourney Weaver and Holly Hunter, which was a great movie. Basically, it was a similar scene where the SWAT teams crashed into Peter Foley's house after they found out who the killer was, and then found out basically that, you know, they knew the address, went into his house, and then all of a sudden the house was booby-trapped, and it got into a fire and basically burned down the house down with the victim. I think he killed his girlfriend or his wife or something to that fact, and the house got burned down and the evidence got blown up. So in a way, you know, I think, you know, James thought that same idea would work, but he didn't take into account that the police are a little bit smarter today than how the movies portray them. So, you know something, I mean, like I said, you know, it's kind of scary to know that, you know, this dude, if he did copy comic books, what will happen to the world of comic books? What will happen to the world of movies? Is movies going to be another excuse for why people who go crazy and postal and all this bullshit and take it out on society? I mean, these are easy claims, but the fact of the matter is that 12 people are dead, 58 people are injured. Families and victims and people who were involved in this tragedy will remember forever that they don't feel safe. I mean, you mean to tell me, like, believe me, I'm sure people are thinking to themselves, you know what, I'm not going to go see a Christopher Nolan film because, you know something, what if somebody goes berserk and go postal? Some people are blaming Nolan for this. I mean, you know, to create such a sinister character and create influence. I mean, you know something, it's great to have a movie that, you know, that you can enjoy and you can see a terrific performance and a character that's portrayed perfectly, but you got to be careful with the after effect, because we got some dumbass people who believe that the movies is real, and that's where the idea of life imitating art comes in. So, you know what it is, you know, Nolan is taking the heat. I don't know if this is a tragic coincidence, because nobody wants to bring out the box office numbers, because they want to say, okay, you know something, Nolan's film made 250 million even with this tragedy. You know, does it boost ticket sales? I mean, in a sickening way, yes it does. I mean, people will, you know, I'm just curious. I wonder what scene in Dark Knight Rises did this guy flip out on? Was there a shooting scene? Was it the beginning of the movie? Was it towards the end? I don't really know. I mean, I'm just curious, like, what made this guy get up in the middle of the theater, and ironically enough, like in the comic book, The Dark Knight Returns, and just start shooting people in the audience? You know, and, you know, how did he get all these explosions in the theater in the first place? How did he get the gun in there? I thought usually there's, like, security, you know. Is security that bad in movie theaters that, you know, you got to worry about being shot? So, you know something, like I said, you know, to the victims who lost loved ones in trying to see The Dark Knight Rises, my heart and condolences go out to you, and keep God in your heart as always. You know, I know that you're all probably saying to yourself, why this happened? You know, some people will say evil exists, and it does. The devil is very fucking busy. But you know something, there is a way to beat the devil too. And the way to beat the devil is to keep love in your heart, and know that the people you love might be gone in body, but they're not gone in spirit. So, you know, I know these are not words that people want to hear right now, because it's fresh in their heart and they're angry and they want justice. And like I said, believe me when I tell you, I'm sure if that was my 6-year-old who was shot like that, I'd be feeling like you all feeling. I want to go look for James and his family and kill everybody, but that's not going to bring it back. What we all need to do is stop looking for the movies and stop looking for, you know, reasons about the killer, because that's what the media will do. The media, you got to be careful with them, because everybody wants to get the story out for ratings. So be careful with the media, the victims, if you're going to interview them. Just talk about your loved ones. Don't go into the killer's mind. Don't blame fucking comic books and Nolan and Bale and all that bullshit. Just go there and tell the public about your loved one. Tell them about this tragedy and how the movie theaters need to put better security. I mean, we've had incidences in the ghetto where, you know, people are shooting up the screen, but now we're getting to the point where, you know, if you got a methodical killer who will do dumb shit like this, then we gotta change the way security is gonna be done in theaters. Yeah, it sucks, because you know why it's gonna suck now? Because it'll affect the bootleg business, and then the bootleggers won't be able to go in and bootleg the movies and whatnot, because it's gonna be hard to go into theaters, because, you know, there's gonna be triple security. So, you know, I mean, maybe Hollywood is maybe happy about this a little, but, you know, in a sad and bizarre and tragic way, this is a horrific tragedy. And you know something, normally, when you do stuff like this, you gotta let the victims know that, what, I hope people understand that, those Batman movies are great dark films, but that's just what they are. It's just movies. And to the victims, again, I am truly sorry for what happened to you all. And anyone who was involved in that theater and got shot up, even when you weren't in there, my heart goes out to you. And like I said, just be careful with the media, because they want to create this like life imitating art story. Tell the world about your loved one and let them know about what happened in this tragedy and how this shit never happened again. And James, go fuck yourself, because believe me, you ought to put a bullet in your head, if you were this crazy. But of course the pussy didn't do that. So something, while they're bragging about his brilliance, think about it this way. Guys like James will probably get fucked in the ass and probably catch AIDS. So you know what? The victims are going to get justice. Either he does it to himself or society will do it for him. So something, a special condolences go out to the victims, and have a prayer in their heart for them. So tell me, hit me up with your comments. Tell me what you thought. How does everybody feel about what happened with this tragedy? Do you think that this is just another case of life imitating art, the way Columbine and this tragedy today has happened? Or do you think that James is just what he is, just fucking crazy? Hit me up with your comments. Enjoy this great weekend. Like I said, for the most part, again, remember, use your mind. It's your best weapon. And I'm sorry, I'm not gonna go to the theater for quite some time because of this, because I don't know if he's inspired others. But please be careful when you go to the movies, and remember, just keep God in your heart.